We alkalize to realize the body is the temple, water is the source of life. We breathe in life and then we synthesize. This liquid sun will free your glands and begin to decalcify. Peer through your third eye, see through the lies and give your body what it's missing. We dehydrated, and that's the human condition. But when you clean the body and believe the body, you set yourself up to receive the body. See, it's a sharp knife, that's the water of life. It's like a sword cutting parasites down the sides. It takes a certain kind of faith to know that you're divine. And if it comes from urethra, then it's alkaline. We serve in truth, and it don't matter how weird it really gets. It's the linchpin ascended masters to initiates. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. You had it inside this whole damn time.
Welcome to Alkalize to Realize. I am your host Lee, and I am connecting with Dr David Jubb. And we speak on a few different topics. We speak on magnetism, we speak on the micro and the macro and how it relates to the human body, and we also speak on urine therapy and a few other nice topics. So yeah, this is my first presentation, so please enjoy. It was very random how me and David Jubb started talking. Actually, it wasn't planned at all. We just kind of got together and just randomly started recording. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much, and remember to alkalize to realize. We're kind of looking into how the body is a micro representation of the universe that we live, you know?
Yes. It's like a macrocosm sort of mimics the microcosm.
Yeah.
The thing that goes on in the microcosm, is an example of the things that go on in the microcosm. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Lava has magnetic properties, you know, and lava heats up and lights up. So does blood, you know. It's like, I know, are you following me slightly?
Of course, you know, sound and light are magnetic. And very slow versions of plasma. And most of it, I thought that energy might stop at the speed of light, which it doesn't. And you and I, when we can think about what is the universe, have we looked at ourselves from the furthest reaches to see how we fit in? That's something which I've done, and I've been involved in projects which was to do with getting pictures from the furthest reach of outer space using computers and satellite and things to do.
Oh, I see.
And to map the heavens and then go from any point in the heavens and look back at ourselves. So it was a project which Leilani is a line in the heavens, which I was involved in helping sort of giving a name, because they had a name for this line in the heavens. So, you know, does someone really know, when we use a word like universe, we could know that it's a stellar universe, for instance. We could know that our universe that we're living in has a set dimension. And then you can look beyond our universe, you can find other universes.
That's right.
Universe upon universe.
Yeah.
So our universe is a massive cluster of galaxies, and in the center of it, we have a big void called the Booty's Void. And there's some dynamics in the measurement of the actual circumference of our universe and its mass and the circumference, and diameter of the Buddhi's void. And those ratios and things are fine constants that relate to slip, stick, and bolt conditions, in physics.
Yeah.
So you and I we could look at a scale of the universe, and we can see that what's an example in the macrocosm is going on in the microcosm. So, for instance, melanin is a protein which is produced in outer space.
Yeah.
And of course on Earth here as well. And you can find superstructures which is as large as a galaxy, which, like the eye, the closest eye to us, is Helix galaxy, and that's in the House of Aquarius.
Yeah.
And that's an eye which has the materials exactly of an eye. So you've got water in the centre of it more. You have the pigments that make up the actin and myosin filament that contract in the muscle to change the shape of the lens and things. You've got the same protein and things, only you've got that on a massive scale, as large as a galaxy. So when you're looking at things, there you can see nerve cells, and you can see a whole range of things, which mimic organs and things that we have here on Earth. And certainly, all of us, we should go beyond being just Earth-centric and start to understand that we're connected, to things which is beyond our Earth,
Yes.
and that on being Earth-centric to understand how these, like the sun is an organ of yourself, just as the planets are and the moon.
Yeah, beautiful.
And an organ of ourselves and relate to us. Anyway, what's magnetic is really infinitely finer than what light is. If you could imagine for a moment two opposing magnets, that's north negative, and if you have a couple hundred kilos pressure, and those two magnets can be pressurized so that they can't touch each other really.
Yeah.
There's a big space there, but structurally, you and I, we could jump up and down on that 200 kilos, and you're not going to move it. It's structurally solid. No, a big space exists between the two opposing magnets. And so it's structural is there, isn't it? Because you can't move it. You need 200 kilos, and then possibly you can move it. But if you don't, it's structurally solid to the pressure of 200 kilos. And what's in there is a JC quantum, is a string, and it's on a fine level. So you could throw chemicals in there and it's not going to affect that. You could put a piece of paper in there, it's not going to affect that. You could shine a light in there, it's not going to affect the power of many of it, because this JC quantum, like you're looking at inside that space, is of a very, very fine scale that everything in the third dimension doesn't really relate to.
Yeah.
So and most of us can not. We could only have a theory. Most only have a theory rather than a totality about what is really going on. So I think it's possible for us today not to necessarily have a theory anymore, but have a grand unified totality by having identified the exact particle is in space that makes up space, and what that's made of, and its length, its mass, its time, and things like that. And so then you're going beyond light, certainly, because light's very, very slow, heavy slug, and you can't go anywhere with light. And it's like water, just flowing along. and it takes 7 times. It takes one in 1 second. It's only gone 7 times around the Earth in a second.
Yeah.
So it's very, very, very slow. And you can break that light second down into a quadrillion units. And so that's something which I've done, is to invent a clock, a quantum clock, which keeps time accurate into the quadrillion of units in a second. So critical reaction can come to be understood, and and critical position, in physics, and you can manage these things to create new material, because you can time the reaction of things that go on, where in the past most everyone only can have thought in terms of light, and because if it happened within a light second, it seems like that seems to be simultaneous, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And so that's a book which I've written a work about.
Oh, beautiful.
Which I'm just going back to do some more editing on. Yeah, but there's a work which has got 15 volumes.
Yeah.
And each volume is about a radical concept which changes the way you and I look at the world, really. So you and I, we look at the world and the universe, and we could have a logical, rational continuism, and you can know there's an arrow of time in a logical continuism, and that something happens and then something else happens, versus the things happening simultaneous. So concepts that relate to simultaneity, somebody in physics can start to become more aware of the universe if we can understand that not a whole number exists, for instance. You and I, we could discover things more, because how do you go from 0 if you start to count to 1? And how do you get from 0, which is nothing, to 1? And is it true that you or anybody might have a set in their brain that they can start counting, and they just automatically have assumed that you start counting from 0? But if you can, how can you count from 0? That's not a logical continuism.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
So one has to go and truly have questions that they have, which are paradigms, which are paradoxes. So, for instance, when anybody ever comes up with a new measurement like I have, which is a JC quantum, a Jubb constant, it's the smallest pixel on a dot that's in space, and it has a mass, length, and a time, and it's into the quadrillions of units in a second. So suddenly you have a measurement which is really accurate, really fine. So if you live in the British Isles, and you measure with a 1 kilometre ruler, and you measure all around the coast, you and I would have to agree that you're going to come up with a certain measurement which is a known sort of a measurement, somewhat like people have done that. And before kilometres, they've done it with a mile and things. But imagine that you use the centimetre instead. Now you're going to come up with a billion times larger coastline, billions and billions of times larger coastline, because you've measured it more accurately. You've measured the actual coastline. You didn't have to use generalisation, or you didn't have to delete information, and you used a construct which didn't have to distort, and so you use something which is more accurate. So the moment that you come up with a smaller measurement, anybody does, what it does is it dwarfs the measurement, it shrinks any measurement that was, and that paradigm of that measurement comes to be obsolete, and it becomes just a paradigm which becomes obsolete, because when a new paradigm comes along, it smashes the old paradigm, and whatever anybody knew of the past doesn't work with the new paradigm. See?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, more certainty.
You and I, or anybody, we look at the world. We're looking at the world through paradigms. We're given ideas about, and those ideas cause us to have rules, which cause you and I to interpret sensorily the world in a set way. Yeah. So that's what a paradigm means. Somebody could have a theory, and that's you've got an idea. Maybe you've got a theoretical construct. But if you have, then you're starting to have validity, maybe, and you can look at what's concrete and logical and observable, and you don't have to only be considered of what the possibility of something which you could talk about, which is not observable. But if you use logic, like anyone, one can learn how to have a validity in the things that you say, and your research. You can be valid in the way that you go about your inquiry, or somebody can be not valid. Well, you'd want to be valid, and so then you'd want to have reliability. So these two words, they sort of are related to each other. And validity, you've got a great bull dust detector, and everyone does. And that bull dust detector really is about your own logic, which is logical and rational, and everyone else's is too. And you've to become really good at applying logic and being able to give something sort of very clearly. So the question about things being valid and reliable first relates to just the face validity. So, when we can talk about something like the sun, you can understand that only by looking at its density. So we can start to question everything by looking at density, for instance, and you find that the sun has no density.
Yeah.
Yes, well, it does have some density, but it's 0.2% the density of water.
0.2.
When we look at Saturn, we can see that it's 0.7% the density of water. So as you can see, this is more like Saturn is a gas. So to your eye, it looks a shiny ball, and we might mistake it to be a planet a lot like ourselves or something. And we look at the sun, and it's a shiny ball too from our eyes far away. But in fact, it's parallel magnetic arcs at the bottom, at the front end of a tornado that you and I are inside. And so, as you go along, or anybody, there's something valid that is face valid, and that yours and my bull dust detector is really good for listening and hearing if something seems to be face valid. So face validity is the strongest form of validity because it just relies upon something intuitive. You might not be able to put words to something, but it just seems to be right. It makes sense. And so that's a form of validity. Another form of validity is that you and I, as we could talk about something being beyond light, you would have to satisfy a construct. And so you've got to construct you've got construct validity. And so the construct inside this would be that light then must be just packets of magneton, which it is, and that light itself could be broken down into smaller units, which it can, and forces that's beyond the speed of light could pass through things which light couldn't, which it can. So you've got a valid construct. You know, when you're listening, you're talking, you're thinking about things. And another valid construct would be that every single element on the periodic chart is baryonic and is magnetic and is made up out of magneton. And the construct of that being questioned by people because they would wonder, well, is rubber magnetic, which it is glass magnetic, which it is vinyl magnetic, which it is. So a lot of things which we've been taught isn't magnetic because it doesn't have ferromagnetics. We could only have thought maybe that's not magnetic, which it is. But we could understand there's two types of magneticity, and one is a dynamic current, and then the other is a static field. Okay. And dynamic current is called the A field, and the static field is called the B field. And the A field, like a trajectory of energy, goes out into the B field, and the B field is accepting it. It's absorbing it. And there's a rate of absorption of any light or anything that comes into itself. Oh, wow. Into the B.
So could I ask? Oh, sorry.
But as anybody starts to learn a little bit about things, of course, you can understand how looking at things more being magnetic is a very deep, more powerful conditioning of our psyche and our perception.
Wow, yeah, it's amazing. So could I ask, is urine therapy a form of magnetic healing?
Okay, well, yeah, everything is. So your voice, this program, as it's dead, but your livingness is ongoing, and this is real. And so, how much and what's said is impacting what you're doing and what you would do in your life and what you could have a focus on can be truly remarkable, because something can occur serendipitously, so it seems, but it can have a massive impact on the rest of your life and work that you do. So, in the late 70s, I had a great opportunity serendipitously to be involved with microscopic work, which really is the most sophisticated microscopes on the earth. And so I was able to see things all the way down to an atom.
Wow. Like Raymond Wright.
And I could see how they formed, the shape of them. And I made various films to view things through, so I could see the diamagnetic energy of things, so I could see behind the object. And so, some people can have seen the furthest in, and others can have also seen the furthest out. And so it's possible to take someone to be with themselves where someone has never had a feeling of before, or had any hearing about, or even have seen. And so, I think that with urine therapy, what I saw in the late 70s was that there was a diastastic poison, which means poisons which cause things to break apart and not come together. And so you've got various substances like hyaluronic acid, which holds things together, that's dissolved, and so that's a diastastic condition, causes the body to fall apart, and oxidation does. Okay, so you have various elements that's in your blood, and providing that you have a certain amount of that, you keep mold, fungus, and yeast at bay. And if you have an excessive amount of it, your body starts to deteriorate and breaks down into mold, fungus, and yeast. The cells will. And cyanhydric acid So you have diastatic poison and cyanhydric acid. And in the early 80s, that was for me to have completed some research for a team of people that were making a vaccine at the time, which I don't agree with vaccine.
Yeah.
I was on the side doing a lot of work for these people, but I could see that I would want to bring something through the mouth because it's going to stay in your body more than 3 or 4 days. It's going to be complex with parotid hormone, where if something is injected, it's not. So I'm just describing what's a better condition for you to bring something in so that it's instantly into your blood. So for me, it was to learn about the tiny small platforms and the membrane itself and how you could, or the body does in nature, apply sphingosine and ceramide, which are these tiny little platforms which cause things to be absorbed across the cell membrane, and how a cell membrane becomes activated, whether that's for your immune cells and things and such. Coming to urine therapy in a second here, because you've first of all got what I've just described, diastatic poison, cyanhydric acid, which affects connective tissue, and that's where neoplastic condition starts. So it starts with a diabetic condition, typically with stone and fermentive stone in the pancreas, and that starts to cause the Brunner gland not to function properly, causes the Harderian glands around your eyes not to function, and so daylight melatonin isn't produced for people who the body becomes compromised. We'll get to urine therapy in a second.
Yeah.
Cyanide is something which, is a poison and is a very common sort of a poison and found, in a lot of things. And so most everybody, they're breathing off a certain amount of cyanide and forms of cyanide, which unless you've got proper capacity to convert that cyanide, it slowly causes asphyxiation of mitochondria. And so the mitochondria of cells, which is the energy generator, becomes asphyxiated, and the cell can't quite get any energy from oxidation, and so it turns to fermentive conditioning, the organelles do. And so you've got blood-borne inhibitors in your blood which block and stop the expression of mold, fungus and yeast, and that a foreign protein is present in the blood where dysbiosis is, when the body could have become compromised. The body in the micro niches can have not kept its capacity to have a negative redox and a pH and conductivity to give it a bioterrain. And so it can have been a fermentive terrain, cells can have, and then the organelles inside those cells, they can have turn to their own demise and become, by aggregation, fusion and differentiation, mold, fungus and yeast protein, which is made of chitin, resin and sclerotin. So those were some of the first discoveries which I saw, because I was just asked to look at all the abiotic material on the earth, which I did. I came to the elements that's used in mummification. And so after studying this, a lot of things started to click for me. I saw under microscopes, the most sophisticated microscopes, and I started to have a deep insight into the body, which most people never ever had even dreamed of.
Wow.
And be scientific, not just a theory, right? But based in a totality, really, which has quanta. So, you know, you're talking about real nouns. You talk about the use of a noun properly versus pronouns, which people could have been using. You know, so, and you've got verified, quantifiable units that can be observed, you know, and defined as a noun. Okay, so you've got in urine therapy, you've got a recycling of things, and that the kidneys are not organs of detoxification, of course, which the books write about. Blood is made more in your lungs and intestine, not in your bones. Enzymes are transported by immune cells, and so the idea that enzymes are not important in food is based upon not having found it in blood, which that's not logical, because when you understand how enzymes are transported, you can see they pass through pia patches in the intestine, and they migrate into the intestine, migrate in and out of the intestine, and they transport enzymes and everything through your body, okay?
Yeah.
So do you know, or do our listeners know, which I can't presuppose, that the major digestive organ in your body is your lungs, and that your digestive tract performs a secondary role, and you've got great rivers. A plasma river is with the lungs, and a liquid river is with the intestinal tract, and then that goes to lymph and the cardiovascular system. But you know, you've got an intestinal tract along before all of these other things, and that has to be in good stead. And urine being purified element from the blood, which blood can't get to the furthest reaches of outer space in your intestine and maybe in your mouth and things. Fluids and tissue cannot flow as well as what it can, because adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy molecule, cannot be being produced, and adenosine diphosphate, which is turned into adenosine triphosphate to have energy, cannot be being converted. And so diastasic poisons like mycotoxins, like a rocotoxin A, and acetaldehyde, are just two toxins which cause your immune system not to function properly. So you and I, we have an intestinal tract which could be kept clean. Ammonia will really clean things, which lots of other things don't. So we never had detergents and solvents, hard solvents like we have today, like petrol and you know, things just like that. And that things were done more water soluble, and the understanding of things to be water soluble and having this enzyme so that it could be life colloid transmutated from one element into another. And so, you know, does someone know what the kidneys do? I don't think so. Do you know what the bladder is supposed to do? Well, probably not. Do you know what urine is? I don't think so. Most that I talk with, they don't know these things.
Yeah.
If I ask what is the major organ in your body of digestion, are people going to say the lungs, which is true? No, they're not. If I ask where's blood formed, are people going to say it's in the bones? Yes. Because that's just a knee-jerk reaction, but logically incorrect. Is the sun a cold body? Yes. And, you know, can you define temperature? Most people will say no. And so even words like temperature haven't been defined. And so, you know, you're living in a world which is Flintstone.
Flintstone.
And most people are looking through their eyes like the old cartoon of Flintstone, you know, in a caveman condition. It's sort of like a dinosaur. You know, it's like cast in stone, petrified. So as you've got people who are afraid of light, looking at light, and you've got people who, you know, just great of the unknown. But urine therapy is probably one of the most important things which I've been helping educate people about since the late 70s. There's probably not hardly anything more powerful. And, you know, I'm one, like, I've spent days and many years studying ruthenium, rhodium, osminium, iridium, palladium, and these all these transition elements which have quantum effects, you know, and how they're involved in quantum sensing, which when you do urine therapy, you're tapping into something here, because your bladder needs to have its lining proper, and glycogen and glycans need to have a layer in your bladder. Your endothelial cells and endothelium, this covering that lines the inner passageways of yourself, and it's supposed to be conditioned. And when you're bringing something in, has it got its sphingosine and ceramide? So, you know, you can see that everything is being recycled. That is recycled more, like urine is an example of rain, certainly, being recycled. But a garden and growing vegetables and fruits and things, if you put compost back into the vegetable garden, you're going to continue to have a better soil, and you're recycling. A battery could be recharged, and you can be tapping into a recycling of things. And is it true that when you urinate, you were meant to? Yes, but are you urinating a proper amount? For instance, are you over-urinating? Most people are.
Okay.
Or some become not able to urinate because urine becomes blocked, so they can't empty the bladder. And so a lot of things that people are doing is to urine is one of the most superior substances they could have ever drank.
Oh, are you back? Oh. Oh no. Oh, I'm sorry. It's cutting out again, David. Oh.
Ping coming on into our line as well.
Sorry about that. We just missed you.
Anyway, maybe it'll stop.
Yeah, I think so. Oh. Might have to link up again for a part 2. Oh no. Sorry, you're still there, Dave? No, I'm not hearing. I can't hear him. Okay, I'm going to ring you back. 1 second.
Been with the companies that are doing these sorts of calls, trying to get people's business, you've got sort of all sorts of eavesdroppedness, and you've got all this electronic stuff that comes into your call and everything, and it's really obvious more, you know.
Yeah.
Are you there, mate?
Yeah, you disappeared for about 20
Urine
seconds.
has rhodium in it, osminium and ruthenium, and whenever you urinate, you're peeing away that. If you know about M state, when people doing what they can to collect gold, they wash away most all of the substance because they use water and a specific gravity. No one can tell me that gold mining is doing the right thing. They're not.
Oh.
And thinking is an either. So, when you urinate or anyone else does, do you know that you're clearing away rhodium, osmium, and ruthenium, which isn't as easy to keep hold of, which you're supposed to have in your body.
Oh,
With
wow.
rhodium, you have the capacity to clear away cyanide.
Oh, lovely. Wow.
You have the capacity to dissolve diastastic poison
Yeah.
and manage it.
See, so this could be how I came from a paralyzed state to literally, completely healed and better than I ever have been.
True healing therapeutic isn't, getting acted upon. No, yeah, that's right. It really is you and I or anybody changing their ways, changing their behaviour, and being more in a long-term condition of having found something and applying it over time of your life and achieving the benefit as a result. But being able to be observed to see that, bringing in your own antibody, which is a toxin which is connected to albumin, and the body can learn about that, and then mount defences against certain things which it needs to. So as you've got T4 and T8 cells, which turn the immune system on and turn it off, and get busy to clear up stuff which it's meant to. So urine therapy brings in the antibody, and also brings in the antitoxin, so the body could learn how to produce quickly what's needed to help manage and keep a balance of itself.
Yeah.
Much could be said about urine therapy, which is a subject which, no matter what, it's not the most uncommon thing for me to have given someone urine therapy to do as part of a program to help heal themselves up. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Wow. Incredible. And and on the magnetic state of blood, this is
yes, because gravity and inverse gravity is the magnogravitic effect. It's an effect of magnicity. You see, electricity doesn't exist. The idea that an electron is different from what's magnetic is untrue. You can't have electromagnetic. It's just untrue. You have a north negative flowing into a south positive, and that's it. You have dynamic magneticity, and you have a static field. Yeah? And most of these happen in the same time and space, but it's slightly untrue, because you have a dynamic field that comes into a static field, and the dynamic that comes into a static field is slower than the static field. The static field is faster than the dynamic field. So the B field is 10,000 times faster than the speed of light.
Wow.
And it's not infinitely faster, but then that's the scale where we've gone down to, which is a reaction. So, space reacts to anything that comes into it, and how it responds 10,000 times quicker than light does.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
So that's the speed of dark, you see.
I see. Wow. Yeah, thanks. I'm just writing a few little bits down too at the same time. Just, the bits that I love. But yeah, wow. That's incredible. And also, I mean, do you have more time?
Oh, yeah. Well, I reckon that it's good that it's possible to see what the benefit of all of things are as we could go and do some bite-sized chunks, because today is something then in other moments. But I'm really glad that something could happen with the time frame, because I had someone set something up this morning, and it was really complex.
Yeah.
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 Very complex.
Yeah. Yeah, very.
So I'm glad this is really easy for us to have been able to do a bit of an interview, you know,
Yeah.
for you to set something up for recording a bit. And a JC quantum is when you put a wave of light that equal and opposite against coming to each other. Nothing equal and opposite is exact, and something is left over in the residuum. And what's left over after those two waves have passed over each other in a phase conjugated state is a very small leftoverness, and that's what a JC quantum is.
Wow, yeah.
The size of what makes up light. It's a particle, a magneton that makes up light. Yeah. Anyway, so you know, blood has an inverse gravitational property. Our red blood corpuscle does inside our blood vessels. You know, and you know, it behooves someone to start to understand a little more how come the highest area in your body is your Brunner gland, which it's much lower than your eyes and your brain, but that actually is the lowest area in your body, you know. So when we talk about what's the highest area, what's the lowest area, what's the watershed area, what's got the lowest pressure, what's got the highest pressure magnetically, and pressure and temperature differentials exist, you know, which could cause water to have come out of the top of a mountain, you see.
Wow, and it's hot water.
And it can even be hot water, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, yeah, because that's like, I was recently in Honduras and they had the hot water springs, you know, and they Dr. Sebi's place. That's where I met your friend actually. Yeah. Wow.
Well, anyway, when you heat things, it causes things to become hydrophobic. When you put things in alcohol, it's a very harsh solvent. The world is going to come to colloids in a future moment, and they're called nutraceuticals. They're compounded and put together just as nature does, using plasma. And so you're using water-soluble substance, not substances which is cooked up in hot water, boiled down, or put into alcohol, which, you know, is very primitive. Yeah. You were in a clinic just recently, and the person that sort of helped set that up was someone that I knew when he was young.
Wow.
And when he started saying that he could cure AIDS, which I disagreed with him.
Yeah.
Because AIDS doesn't exist. And he continued to say it did. And I say, and I know it doesn't.
Yeah.
But his background could never tell him perhaps that something didn't exist. But he would have had to accept from me, definitely, that a virus doesn't exist.
I see.
So he said he cured AIDS, which was wrong and incorrect, because he was saying that AIDS existed, and I was saying it didn't. Okay?
Yeah.
So Peter Duisberg was the other person in the industry, scientifically, who comes up with retrovirus. That's, if you look this up, you can see it. But Peter's a mate of mine. Retrovirus, this sort of thing, you know, the idea that a virus exists, it doesn't, because it's not in a fixed form.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, the people who are behind that is really misinformation, called infection with a K.
Infection, yeah, with a K.
There's 10,000 people that are on a payroll with stories that are teaching people wrong information.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is what. Yeah.
Pardon?
Oh
and
no.
So, you know, he was subject to that massively. But he has some truth a bit, but off the wall a bit too, because he didn't understand that you could make a colloid, which you should, but when you boil and cook stuff, it could be not so useful after that, really, not as useful. Some things can withstand temperature, but then you're only going to get certain compounds if you're making a tea. And then if you make a tea, it's not going to be wet with parotid hormone because you're just drinking a tea. That's not going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You've got nutrients which could be wet with saliva, which should be, but if it's in tea already, it's not going to get more wet. So if you've got a sponge and it's wet, you're not going to mop nothing up with it. But if it's dry, it'll draw things into itself. And in particular, parotid hormone is a substance which you're supposed to have that would connect the nutrient, because then it's going to go through your liver many times. Otherwise, it gets conjugated, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it only doesn't go through your liver really at all.
Wow.
So a lot of things, Zebby did, and what I saw was, I'm not sure that he actually really helped educate anybody toward what work I do, but he did a bit.
Yeah, he was.
Food.
Yeah, I feel the same.
So
Truly.
Anyway, so there's something there, but not everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's lovely. That is. And
but if you look at my work, you could start to become more educated scientifically.
Yes, that's exactly the goal.
And otherwise, a lot of people just have opinions about stuff, but you could be more about what's observable. Yeah, because I've just stuck with the things that's observable. That's it.
Okay.
Really.
And how can
I say I don't know.
Yeah.
Certainly, I do know that a virus does not exist.
Yeah. Okay. And how can I?
And double spores do, and they are useful.
Mm-hmm. And is it?
That's not the cause of disease. The cause of disease is a terrain which is not kept properly.
A terrain is, and you can keep a terrain properly with ammonia.
You can keep the terrain proper if you've got proper Brunner gland function and Harderian glands, and you can produce a blue plasma. And if you can't, then you should be doing some urine therapy. Why? Because you're going to get some of that back into your body.
Yes.
That's rhodium, osmium, and ruthenium, and these elements that are in north negative state.
Yeah, the blue plasma was my next question.
That causes it to be in a north negative state.
I see. So the blue light, because you sent me a message saying about the blue light, the plasma, what you're doing with plasma at the moment.
Well, because a 4 neoplastic remission, because diabetes is a neoplasm and cardiovascular condition is, and psychosis is also, and all connective tissue diseases is a neoplasm. Neoplasm describes disease, period, and there is no such thing as any other kind of disease. You've got to name it many names, but it is a neoplasm, whether it's like a psoriasis or sebaceous glands of cysts, of skin conditions, or alopecia, or halitosis.
Yeah.
Any of these conditions, they all are a neoplastic condition. So
Plastic.
That's what I saw, and that's what I've been helping educate people about, and that your bioterrain is important. When you correct that, you can help everything.
Yeah, wow.
Urine therapy is a part of all this, but I'd let go concepts that people have to come to hear what this is, and I'm a quiet voice in the world because, I've been retaliated against.
Yeah.
I've had my child again. I've had my life threatened. I'm amazing to be alive.
Yeah.
And so people with insight like this, they often just shattered from the lot,
Yeah, I can completely agree.
You've got truth about things, you see? Yeah?
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't presuppose that everyone has a massive areas which they could develop themselves. They could be more whole brain functioned in the way they use their brain.
Yeah, exactly.
They could be better communicators by understanding the science of communication more, they could understand subliminals, and they could be good at hypnosis. You see, these are topics and areas where anybody could come to have a much deeper insight into.
Where can I find your books? Because I have one at home.
Linda might be able to get you whole brain functioning manuals, and lots of writing that I've had has all been taken down from the internet.
Yeah.
Because, HTTP is owned privately by one bloke in particular, actually.
I see.
And he owns the internet, like he owns all banking.
Wow.
And so, it's a net which is completely biased, radically, not minor. So I've done everything I can to publish my works and put them up, but there's a force that doesn't want you to hear all of this, really.
Yeah.
And certainly, we maybe just thought that all I'd be is my life just relegated to be under a gum tree somewhere in the bush.
Yeah. I see. Yeah.
And so it relies upon others, not just me. Yeah. And whatever it is that I've said could be passed on. And that's what counts.
That is what counts.
So these don't need much, does it? Although I've written 15 volumes, which I nearly completed last year, and I was falsely imprisoned and arrested falsely, and I just about died. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Hypothermia, and I had fingers and toes.
Frozen.
No circulation.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So sad to hear.
From cotton, right?
Yeah.
You can kill somebody easily. You just have to have their core temperature dropped.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd say they did to Debbie.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Wow. See. Man. Well, I've sent you some information on what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. What is it that you're doing?
So we're out in Portugal at the moment, and basically what we're doing is I was out in Honduras, and I've basically been invited to join Martin Kenny's project. It's just 3 of us at the moment, and we're doing like a school of mystery. There's 2 kind of schools. There's going to be one school that's open to everyone, and then we're going to have another school which is basically for chosen individuals. It would be lovely if you could do a retreat with us and come down and see what we're doing. Billy's coming, your friend who we met. He's going to come down and have a look at what we're doing too. But you're my number one at the moment. I've been waiting over a year to get in contact with you, actually.
Okay, so let's see what we can do to make something work like that.
Yeah.
Let's look into it and consider how something can work like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So with a bit of a time frame and things, it's possible for something that's doable. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds really, really nice. I mean, this is we're just going for the information, and we're gonna, just continue what you're doing.
Yeah. Let's stay connected, and as you'd like to interview a little more, or you've got a group that would like to ask some questions or something,
Yeah, we'll stay connected. Yeah.
And we can keep things at a bite-sized chunk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's doable. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to get hold of all of your books. So, I mean, if there's a way,
there used to be a way that you could have downloaded A Path of Hollow Bones, 15 volumes, and I'm not sure. I think that the net's down. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
all that information has gone down.
So
like last 3 weeks or something.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll see what I can do to get things up again. DavidJubb.com also was attacked all the time.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have information there.
Okay.
So I'm doing what I can maybe to figure out another way to do things, because whatever I put out there, it just gets knocked down often.
Well, I'll tell you something as well.
Can't keep anything up there much. Everything is owned privately.
Yeah.
And those people are monopolised.
Yeah.
And they don't think about you and I. We have to have a system more for ourselves, which is .arm, and it's about the arm, which is a unit of currency which is based in a quantum versus, most currencies are not based in anything.
Yeah, dollar.
And it's not based in proper time or anything. So .arm and the arm, ALM, is a unit of currency which I could see everybody on the earth owns. And then you've got quorum sensing, and you've got decentralised conditioning, which you have true government, which at the moment you've got centralised government. It doesn't mimic anything in nature whatsoever. Yeah?
Yeah, inorganic.
And it's useless.
Yeah.
So a monopoly is wrong, and, it's the demise of the whole earth, and,
Yeah, I'm with you there.
So we can do something about it, but we have to go and do things beyond ourselves, yeah?
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
You got to look into information and see what you can do to get behind the things that really do work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, mate.
Yeah,
anyway,
thank
I love you.
Yeah, love you too.
Let's reach out and connect as you can. And serendipitously, it's just amazing that I came and had a quick look at the phone myself, and I think a PA mail that might have seen you guys talking a bit or something, and reached out to create this today.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's stay connected as we go, and connect with your mates. Give my love to your best mates, and we'll catch up with each other, all right?
Thank you so
much.
Love you, mate. Yeah, love you too. Have a lovely evening.
Alkalize to realize the body is the temple, water is the source of life. We breathe in life and then we synthesize. This liquid sun will free your glands and begin to decalcify. Peer through your third eye, see through the lies and give your body what it's missing. We dehydrated, and that's the human condition. But when you clean the body and believe the body, you set yourself up to receive the body. See, it's a sharp knife, that's the water of life. It's like a sword cutting parasites down the sides. It takes a certain kind of faith to know that you're divine, and if it comes from urethra, then it's alkaline. We serve in truth, and it don't matter how weird it really gets. It's the linchpin ascended masters to initiates. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. We alkalize to realize. Open your mind and find you had it inside this whole damn time. You had it inside this whole damn time.